What's up, everyone? This is Jeremy and Gardening with Chuck. So I just got a new microphone and a new little tripod and some setup that will help me be able to do more things in the garden and show you better and help you hear better about what it is I'm doing. Right now, the sun is going down and sitting in one of the gardens. There's nobody passing by like that can see me, but there's houses around me, and I don't know. And I guess there's people across the street and stuff, and I just feel shy. So I'm trying to get used to it. Because I've done videos before, and people just think you're on the phone, but then when they see a mic with the dead cat and you holding it, and they know you're doing something, and they just look because who wouldn't? And so I'm trying to get through that initial part. Anyways, so there's another part of my story that I wanted to share with in the opening of my channel in the beginning, because it's everything that I do, everything I've done, and everything that I'm doing is because of my story, and I want to make sure that that's in the forefront of where I'm at and what I'm doing. That's how I operate my life now. Anytime I'm doing any kind of project or whatever it is I'm doing, I'm checking in with, is that part of my story? Like, is it something that's honoring my story and lifting me up, or is it something that isn't for me? Is it toxic? Is it negative? Is it dead weight? And so that's my process for everything that I do. And so it's important for me to share that piece of my story. And so I live in the city, literally near downtown. I live in an older neighborhood. I live in an apartment building. And sadly, in my apartment building, I don't even have a balcony. And I don't have a place to grow where I live. I don't have a yard. And so all of the things that I do and all of the places that I grow are in community gardens. Most of the community gardens stay pretty full because a lot of people are interested in gardening, and they either are in this similar situation as mine where they don't have a place to do that, or they just prefer to do it alongside someone that has more experience than them and that they could learn and lean on and learn from for advice. And then of course it's part of the community, another way to interact with your neighbors and neighborhood and people who live around you. Most people who participate in these gardens live close by, walking distance. Sometimes, but not a lot of times, people will come from further away just to garden here. But it's case by case. So this year, because I'm trying to do different projects that we'll talk about as I go along with my story, the sun is going down, and so the light keeps changing, and I'm okay with it hiding my white beard. So I actually have, also most of the gardens, you're only able to have one plot just because so many people want a space, and it's only fair to make sure you can accommodate that as much as possible. After you have the spaces filled, then if there's extra, sometimes it becomes a community plot where grow whatever you want, but everything in this space is for everyone. Or it's just like an herb garden, which is you can have the same idea behind it. So because of that, I don't know if it's the same difference, but I actually had to go and get several different plots in various different gardens to be able to fulfill what I'm trying to do with gardening with Chuck. I definitely could do it with the 1 or 2 plots that I had already, but I'm trying to take it to the next level. Not, not I want to really specify next level and not to another level, because I just want to do a baby step up. I want to get my feet wet. I want to push my limits and boundaries, see what I can do, and I want to see where my comfort is, my comfort zone, and know and learn more about what I can do with what I have. And so I have different spaces, and some of the spaces I'm returning to, so I'm very familiar with the soil, what's in it, what it needs, what it likes, how it works. Some other spaces are brand new to me. I don't know anything about the gardener who was before me, or anything about the plot, how it was treated or handled or cared for, and I won't know until I grow. And of course, the truth is in the plants when they come to life. So I've been spending time as much as possible while I am nursing seedlings and baby plants in my home, in my living room under grow lights, so I can have my beds and my plots ready to go, ready for a spot, and ready to kick off running instead of having to start from the very beginning. And then that way it will give me more of a sense of what I'm needing. And so I have a few raised beds, I have a few in-ground gardens, and it's still early April. I'm in zone 5B. There's still it's still too cold. Literally the snow just melted today of what we had from a couple of days ago. It's supposed to snow again tomorrow or sometime this week. It's still getting too cold for any tomatoes or peppers or squash plants, things like that. But there are lots of other vegetables and roots that don't mind the cold and actually prefer it. So radish, cabbages, broccoli, kale, cauliflower, collard greens, carrots, spinach, lettuces, all of those don't mind the chilly cold nights or the cold wet weather, and they can handle some snow as long as it's not negative degrees for days and days consecutively in a row. They're good, and they actually do better. They get hardier, stronger, and they produce very heavily. And so today I'm in the garden because I have my first market in a month from now or less. Actually a month from now, and radish is one of those things that take less than 30 days. So I'm gonna go ahead and put a bunch of radish seeds in this raised bed that I have already amended and mulched, to make sure that it's getting ready to go. All of the snow just melted, so the soil is damp. I actually did a method with my radish seeds that I'll share with you, that I put them in a damp paper towel. And the reason I did this is not so much because of germination issues, because it is one way to increase germination, or just to make sure you can gauge more what the germination rate, but also because I wanted the spacing. I wanted to ensure the spacing, which will ensure the production of an individual radish. If they're too crowded, the greens will grow, but the roots won't really form or grow. And I'm growing radish in this bed to have radish, not to have greens. So I wanted to make sure that spacing is right. I didn't want to be hunched over in the raised bed all day long, making sure one by one tiny radish seed is in the right place. So I put it on a paper towel, I wet it, not dripping wet, but wet where it's see-through. I then placed a seed, in the appropriate spacing, about 1 inch on each side, more or less. I didn't measure it and get all detailed about it that way. But with the seed being so small and the paper towel being damp, it held it in place. And then I was able to do several little towels like that. There's different types of paper towels. There's like one size and then select a size. So I used the select a size one because I didn't need a giant sheet of paper towel, and even that's the smallest of the select a size sheets. I tore them in half and used even thinner strips for what I'm doing. So I have about 8. I have about 16. I have 2 bags of about 16 little damp paper towels. They've already sprouted. There's some leaves coming up and you could see things moving, so I'm kind of worried I waited too long to get out here, and I would have been here sooner if it wasn't for the snow, but I wanted to make sure that the snow was gone. I wasn't planting in the snow, and I was also allowing the soil to be moist. The water's not turned on yet because we do live in a colder climate, and so there's always a caution about that for, the pipes bursting and things like that. So the water usually doesn't get turned on until next month. Where I live in Colorado, the rule of thumb is Mother's Day. That's the day that you can plant outside. That's the day water turns on outside, sprinklers start being used. But it's not always. Sometimes this is the last snow and it won't snow again. It'll be hot and dry and people go earlier. Sometimes you can get another snow in the middle of May after everyone got excited and went too soon. So most of the times I like to wait till June 1st to put my peppers and my tomatoes, because if they do get cold, they'll stunt. They could die, and it just takes them a lot to come back from that. It's not worth it to put them outside just to slow them down, especially when you went through all you went through to get them off to a running start. And so I patiently wait, make sure that they're strong, make sure that they're hardened off, and we'll go through that process when the time comes. So I want to talk to you now about my plans for this bed. All right, so we are here looking at the bed. Just gonna clean out the straw, gently brush it away from the place that I'm going to be planting. There was a solar light that I just moved out of the way and adjusted so I can have more space to work. And I'm just moving the straw away, clearing out a path, and then I'm just using the small handheld shovel to loosen the soil. As you can see, it's pretty easily happening. It's really good soil. It's been amended before, and I just want it loose. That way the bulbs of the radish can form easily and uniform. That way they're not misshapen because the soil is compact in certain areas. And now I am making rows where I'm gonna place my radishes just with my hands. I have gloves on. Making some rows. I made 3 rows, space in between, and I put the dirt on the side. And now what I'm doing is taking the wet paper towels with the seeds, and as you can see right here, the roots are coming through, and so they're germinating. It might be a little past the point where you normally would want to do this, but like I said, because of the snow, I was delayed in getting them in the ground. But here I'm just unfolding them gently, trying not to disturb the roots as much as possible, and then I'm placing them in the little indentions that I made in the soil, and I'm adjusting the towel so that they're not covered. I want the seed to be able to break through the towel and grow into the soil. I don't want the towel to turn into a trap, and so that's the reason why I'm unfolding it, and that's the reason why I am taking my time with this part and putting them in the ground and adjusting. Also because like I told you in the other part of this video, I intentionally spaced the seedlings or the seeds around 1 inch apart from each other, just so that each radish has enough room to mature and get a full radish. And so with these paper towels, I'm able to place them or line them up together because they're already spaced out within the towel. And so I did 3 rows here. I almost got 3 full rows. I think I could have did 2 or 3 more strips of paper towels when we got to the end. But I was out. I thought I did too many, but I did just about right. So that's a good start. And then I covered it up, and I'll show you some pics of how that turned out and what it looks like. And then I replaced the straw mulch, and that's it. We'll check back in a couple of days to see if it broke through the ground, and also we'll see what the progress is. Thanks for stopping by.